This is Smoking Out the Closet. Now, here are your hosts.
Hi, I'm Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
Hi, I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
And we'll go back to another episode of Smoking Out the Closet. For those of you who are new or just joining us, welcome.
We are a queer podcast.
Pun intended.
We talk about cannabis,
The LGBTQIA plus community,
and everything in between.
And beyond.
So welcome.
Welcome. Dab it up. So we pushed back this episode because all the bullshit that is going on in the White House right now and in other parts of the country. And so we wanted to take some time to talk about that. But before we do, we're going to have some fun with the weed we reviewed today.
Yes.
So it was your pick. So do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, so we have this FarmaceuticalRX Scroopy Noopers flower. And if I believe correctly, that's a character from Rick and Morty.
It is the one from the Vindicators episode that was supposed to be in the chair, but Morty weighs the same amount.
Yeah. And the genetics of this is Girl Scout cookies, which is one of my favorites. And Stardog, which always a good strain. This comes in, it says 35% THCA, and the top terps in here are myrcene at 0.54, caryophyllene at 0.48, limonene at 0.3, and everything else is under 0.3. Yeah, I really like it. I gave it, what did I give it? 3.75.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I liked it. It doesn't, I don't know, even though it's 35%, it didn't seem crazy potent for me.
Yeah, it definitely, the lab results I'm very questionable about with the THCA. Like, it's pushed its max from what cannabis could technically do.
Yeah.
So I'm a little wary of it, but I got fucking high. I'm still high.
It was kind of a little bit of a shorter high for me, I feel like. But
yeah.
I don't know. I still really liked it. It smelled really good. I took some really great pictures of the bud.
It was very well. It was squishy. It wasn't super dry. It was very squishy.
Yeah, which is really, really nice because I hate it whenever you're like, oh, this looks like it's going to be good, and you open it and it's
French
drier
bread.
than a popcorn fart or French bread. Yeah.
Drier than a popcorn fart?
Yeah, you've never heard that?
No.
Something my parents would say when it was real dry outside and it hadn't rained in a while.
Oh, God.
It'd be drier than a popcorn fart out there.
Oh, God. Yeah, I've never heard that. I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. I'm still very high. I've been dealing with some mental strain lately because all the stuff I'm doing with this podcast and my veteran podcast and all the veteran work I'm doing outside with Common Defense and advocating for stuff. So I've been a little mentally strained the last, 2 weeks. That felt like years. But I've also been hurting a lot recently. Mm-hmm. My pain's been really bad. So definitely having this kind of push the rest of the pain I've been having out, or at least I can't feel it at the moment, and I'm not as stressed right now, which is great because I had a VA appointment and it was kind of stressful for the stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it's been a time. So between your score and my score, it's still certified mids. It makes it like 3.82 something repeating. So it doesn't become certified slaps yet. But I honestly will take that because FarmaceuticalRX really hasn't dropped their prices on anything. Yeah. I just got this as a cheap thing, like really easy. I can't remember how. But yeah, it was like, okay, I'm getting this because I can.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, because I don't work in the industry anymore, because I just got burnt out of it and all the toxic stuff that we talked about in a previous episode, I'm just a housewife right now who has to rely on her strong breadwinner to go and get me weed.
Yeah, when I go to work.
Is there anything before we move on? Is there anything you want to add about the Scroopy Noopers?
I definitely could taste the Girl Scout cookie parent in this. I really like Girl Scout cookies.
It was very Girl Scout cookie forward.
Yeah. No, Nothing else really, I don't think.
All right. Do you want to do me topic, you topic, me topic, you topic?
Sure.
Okay. So I want to talk about Biden's end to his administration, the end of Biden's era as a president, or at least his first term. So what essentially happened was Biden stated that the Equal Rights Amendment, or the ERA, is the law of the land. Unfortunately, him stating that doesn't actually make it true. So it's in this unfortunately weird kind of limbo space that the National Archivist, who would be the final step to actually fully make the Equal Rights Amendment the 28th Amendment, refused to do so. And it's because of this weird shit that happened back in like the 70s or 80s. So what is the ERA? So the ERA is a proposed amendment that states, quote, equal rights, the equality of rights under the law shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any states on the account of sex. So a lot of people will say this is basically just no discrimination based on sex in any way, shape, or form. And it lays out the base for LGBTQIA plus protections, reproductive health, marriage protections, so on and so forth. Because like gay marriage, gender identity stuff, disability rights, this all has like a basis on sex, unfortunately. So this becomes a big issue. So why is it in limbo? Sorry, I wrote these like a slideshow from like high school in my notes, so I'm going to read it like that. Well, it's due to the timeline of the ratification and the quote-unquote official time limit for the amendment to be ratified to be part of the Constitution. Under the United States Constitution, adding an amendment requires approval of 2/3 of both both houses of Congress, a step that occurred more than 50 years ago. It also takes ratification by 3/4 of the states, which did not happen until 2020 when Virginia became the 38th state to do so. But that is where the wrinkle is in, because when Congress passed the Equal Rights Amendment to be voted on in 1972, they put a 7-year deadline on it. And then it got extended. But by 1982, only 35 states said yes on ratifying it. Now, there's certain parts of the Democratic Party that are arguing because the Constitution says nothing about a ratification timeline that it should still go to become the 28th Amendment. Because oddly enough, when this was being proposed, Christian lobbyists, very bigoted lobbyists, and even companies who didn't want women in the workforce and everything, they lobbied people to not vote yes on it and put that timeline, because the ERA is the only one that ever had a timeline put on it. But then it becomes this weird, unfortunate thing is because we've never had an amendment take this long to ratify. So there's a lot of like, can we, can't we? It's all gray area. But if you're reading the Constitution per how it is written, there's no time limit. So theoretically and legally, it can. Now, do we have to make an amendment to fix it? Sure, maybe, But, and that's the argument, is because some states probably wouldn't say yes like they would have back then. So, states' opinions change and everything. But I still feel like technically it should. So basically, the National Archivist, who has the current final say in it, is refusing to do anything, citing the time limit. Democrats are planning to bring this up in a legal case for the ERA to become the 28th Amendment, but it's going to be an uphill battle and a long, long fight because of it taking decades to get to the 38th ratification. The 38th states to ratify it, but also because everything that's happened usually took at most a year to ratify. So that's where a lot of this issue is coming into place. Do you have anything you want to add to that? I know I kind of just threw a lot of constitutional legality stuff at you.
No, I don't think.
Okay. Because like having the ERA as a thing would protect our community as a whole.
Yeah.
It would protect women's rights reproductively or in the workforce. It would protect military members, as we have a dude, a fucking vet bro alcoholic, who only got to become Secretary of Defense because the Blue Falcon vice president helped his Blue Falcon buddy get into that, being a tiebreaker. So it would protect women in the military too, and that's a huge thing. As things are slowly going away. Do you want to bring up your topic?
Yeah. So I found this a while ago. And this was published on January 21st of this year. From Marijuana Moment. Trump's new DEA head blamed marijuana for school shootings and claimed rescheduling push was politically motivated. The Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA, has a new interim leader, and he's no fan of marijuana. He previously linking cannabis use to school shootings and repeatedly insisting that the Biden administration, quote, hijacked the rescheduling process from the agency for political purposes.
What? What?
Yeah. The DEA announced on Monday that Derek Maltz, who retired from the agency in 2014, after 28 years of service, will be serving as acting administrator, with President Donald Trump still having yet to name his choice to run DEA as administrator. It's unclear if Maltz is positioned to receive that nomination or if it will ultimately be replaced. Maltz's return to DEA for now, especially as anxieties around the fate of ongoing marijuana rescheduling process grow, representing a troubling development.
Well, yeah, because first off, that has been debunked fucking 20 years ago.
So apparently he said this back in 2022. Among the most sensational positions the acting administrator has taken in the past concerns his apparent belief that, quote, obsessive pot smoking is associated with school shooters, as he suggested in 2022.
Okay, but think about it this way, though. Literally they do drug and like tox analysis when like a school shooter gets killed or something, or when they apprehend them. Literally, none of them have ever been announced that they have had cannabis or any illicit drugs in their systems.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm going to go on a little tangent, if you don't mind me
That's
going.
fine.
The reason school shooters happen 9 times out of 10 is because we do not give adequate mental health treatment to minors in this country. And I say 9 times out of 10 because we had a recent one who was a shooter who unfortunately was radicalized by Candace Owens and spewed Nazi propaganda. Ironically, a black kid. Which I was surprised about when I heard that. But still, yeah. They were radicalized, but more often than not, it's a kid with a mental health issue.
So it has this fucking Derek Maltz's tweet right here, right?
Uh-huh.
This is a direct quote from him. For all the irresponsible politicians trying to get votes by legalizing marijuana, maybe it's time to understand the, and this is in all caps, negative impacts from smoking this crap. People rushing to the ER's increased info on school shooters connecting to obsessive pot smoking. And he links some post from the NY Post. San Diego's ER seeing up to 37 marijuana cases a day and mostly psychosis. This is from 2022.
Okay. Let's back up a second there, because the New York Post, like, I don't disregard, like, we should still see how it affects minors. I'm not saying we shouldn't. We should still do that. Just like with alcohol, we should make sure that, people above a certain point who are able to process it properly do it responsibly.
Absolutely.
Not saying that. Like, I'm not saying that shouldn't be a thing. But the New York Post is a right-wing fucking media empire, first fucking all, who has been caught spreading misinformation multiple fucking times. They're just as bad as Fox News, and they're probably here soon are going to be like, we're not a news outlet, we're an entertainment facility. That's how Fox News got away with them spreading fucking lies and shit. First off. Second off, yes, was there an increase of ER visits? Yes. You want to know why there was an increase? Because people fucking overconsumed and did not feel right and went to the ER. There was no cases of psychosis. That was fucking debunked. Every time, it was pretty much like when I get a migraine and I feel real bad and I go to the emergency room because it's so bad. I'm getting so dehydrated and I'm worried it's going to trigger a seizure or something.
Yes.
Just because I went to the ER for the fear of having a seizure doesn't mean I had a seizure.
Yeah.
So, yes, but that uptick plateaued really fucking fast. And there has not been a major increase since. It was just a bunch of people who took a little too much edible and then was like, oh, I don't feel right. I feel really weird. Now, is cannabis hyperemesis syndrome a thing? Yes, it is. What's the cause? We don't know. But those only account for like an eighth of the ER visits at most. Sorry, that was a tangent, and I got really mad because these fucking DEA dumb fucks are still villainizing cannabis.
You're going to get more mad.
Okay.
Because then Trump has also said in 2013 or 2023 that it links another article from Marijuana Moment with the title, Trump suggests, quote, genetically engineered marijuana may be causing mass shootings. He is the link between the use of, quote, genetically engineered marijuana and mass shootings. The speech at the NRA Leadership Forum on Friday, this article's from April 14th of 23. To investigate possibly causing the ongoing source of mass shootings afflicting the country. We have to look at whether common psychiatric drugs as well as genetically engineered cannabis and other narcotics are causing psychotic breaks that lead to gun violence, he said.
Hey, I hate to burst your bubble there, Trump. All cannabis since the fucking beginning was genetically modified.
Oh,
it's like corn. The corn we eat nowadays does not look like that. The corn that they were eating during the colonies did not look like that originally.
So it takes a left turn onto a different sort of terrible. Are you ready for this?
Oh, God, I don't know.
This is a hole I didn't jump into when I first saw this article.
All right, lay it on me.
So he said he'd direct the FDA to convene an independent outside panel to investigate his theory, as well as the issues related to, quote, transgender hormone treatments and ideology, end quote, which he claimed increases, quote, the risk of extreme depression, aggression, and even violence, end quote. God damn it.
Okay, little shout out to my vet podcast. I did an episode. We're going to touch a little bit of this, but I do a deep dive on my veteran podcast, The Rainbow Veteran, which you can go listen to on Spotify and YouTube. I do a deep dive on the whole trans thing he did. Do you want to know what the catchphrase of that last episode was?
Huh.
Trump is fucking stupid. This is fucking stupid. God damn, he's a goddamn fucking idiot. God, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
That was the catchphrases for that last episode. It's fucking stupid. Like, can you have depression when you are trans? Yes, that can be a thing. There is... being trans yourself does not cause depression. Being trapped, just like they had the argument with gay people back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, like, oh, you're gay, you're depressed. No, it's because you're not able to live as your authentic self in a world that's telling you should not be alive, you should not be around, you should not be who you are because it is quote unquote unnatural, but we find it in fucking nature. But I'm knife handing. I'm this pissed off. I'm knife handing. But the thing that people don't understand is that depression is easily fixed by just saying their name, the right pronouns, and helping with some fucking clothes half the time.
Exactly.
That's the thing that people don't understand. Now, another thing, too, is, oh, gay kids, like the gay kids are depressed. Yeah, it's because you shove them in conversion therapy camps, and then you tell them that they're going to die in a fucking pit of fire that does not exist. Fucking... And people were like, oh, you're not a Christian. Like, no, it doesn't even exist in the fucking Old Testament, so fuck off. But they're going to go to hell because your magic book says that they can't. Fuck off. Like, I don't care if you're Christian. I don't care if you're any religion, but don't fucking weaponize your beliefs to hurt people. Literally, I've seen a pastor say this: if your Christian love, he was a Christian pastor. If your Christian love causes someone to hate themselves or unalive it, you're creating the wrong kind of love in this world. Sorry, that was a big tangent. I got really pissed from that.
No, apologize.
I got real pissed.
Beautiful. I love when you get passionate about stuff.
But I'll talk more about this when we go to the EO part.
Those were more connected to each other than I thought, because I saw that, he's blaming fucking marijuana for school shootings, and then I saw, wait a second, he said this back then in 2023, and then it was like, oh wait, it gets fucking worse, because of course it always does when you're talking about Trump.
Yeah,
it can't just be surface level disgusting. There's always 6 other layers of gross underneath of it.
Oh yeah. So was there more to your article? Because this goes great into a tangent to what I'm going to say.
Basically, the rest of it was just them demonizing cannabis and being like, how dare these officials that want to get elected put their votes in before and as a higher priority than people's health.
Motherfucker, do you have any idea how many people use this to help with this? I help this with my PTSD that I got from the fucking Navy. I know so many vets that use this to help us because we don't want to fucking have non-alcoholic cirrhosis in our livers because all the fucking pills you shove down our throats.
I'm still fascinated that people like this still exist. Like, do people still clearly believe this?
Yeah, and it's a dumb thing because their great-grandparents were using cannabis to help with coughs. During the fucking expansion and settlement of the West, cannabis, or Arabic hashish, as they would say with the old snake oil salesman voice, would fucking use that as a cough suppressant and help with people's everyday ailments like anti-inflammatory.
Mm-hmm.
It only didn't become, and we talked about this before, it only didn't become an issue until fucking Nixon used it as a weapon to attack his political fucking enemies, and you all bought the fucking Flavor Aid, which was actually the thing that people used in that cult, not Kool-Aid. Don't fucking disrespect Kool-Aid like that, you assholes.
Yeah, it was Flavor Aid. Blue Flavor Aid.
Okay, so I want to talk about Trump's executive orders because this goes right into that tangent. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. I am pulling up my show notes for my vet podcast, just real fast because I want to actually talk about what I talked about then, and actually give the same justice. Now, go into the episode because I do go into that episode. It's episode 4. But it talks about a lot of the ins and outs of things. I'm going to do just quick yoinks. But ones that I really want to talk about here. So there is one that is... Too fast. There's one that is titled... God damn it, Google. Okay, that's the DEI stuff. That's the bullshit. Okay, here we go. Defending women from gender ideology, extremism, and restoring biological truth to the federal government. So, basically what this thing says, and I'll read the first paragraph in it. No, I'm not even going to read it because I already read it on that episode. I was fucking pissed. So basically what this says, short and skinny, is we're going to make it the government's official policy to state that there are only 2 genders in this country. And I will say, first off, if you have to sign something to enforce it and state that it's natural by making legislation, your argument is null and void.
Yeah.
First and fucking all. Like, it should just end there. But there's a couple issues with this. First, it states that basically it breaks down what girl, boy, man, woman is, male, female. And it states that everyone's gender is the sex characteristic of large or small sex characteristic at conception. That weird look in your face. Yeah. Okay. So what do you think that's weird? I want to say you had that, like, that's weird. What's weird? I want to hear your guess.
In the womb, everyone is
Yes. Sex characteristics do not manifest with hormones. Don't start until the 6th to 8th week of pregnancy. So, by that definition, we're all women because those characteristics don't show up at conception.
Yeah.
They show up at that 6 to 8 week mark. And this is also that funny time where intersex issues start to arise as well. Because there are cis women with XY chromosomes. This is when that happens, right? But the issue, I feel like the issue that I'm worried about with this is it's also giving personhood to fertilized eggs. Because it is saying at conception.
Yeah. Ew.
So that's
religious language.
Yes, it is.
Which, separation of church and fucking state, hello?
Yeah. And Frank Zappa called this like fucking with Reagan's administration. When you start to have a country run by one religious group's moral compasses, you are going to run into fascism.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I'm worried about, and I didn't say this on my vet podcast, I should have, but I didn't think about it till afterwards. We're just making the Christian version of Sharia law right now. And all those people who are saying we don't want these immigrants coming here because they're going to make what's going on in the Middle East here, we're already fucking doing that ourselves with Christianity. We're already fucking doing it. So, but this is where it's also an issue. I know I'm going on a little tangent with women's health, but it's important.
Yes.
So if this is pushing if this is pushing personhood on just fertilized eggs, what's that going to do to in vitro fertilization clinics? If they have a power outage, say there's an in vitro clinic in Texas. Texas has been having electrical issues because it can't handle the heat, right? Mm-hmm. And whole substations are shutting down because they're breaking. Would the hospitals get charged with murder, or is it the electrical company?
And how many counts?
Right, exactly. Not a lot of people realize that. And honestly, not all the eggs that are fertilized attached. So is the person trying to get pregnant going to get charged with murder too?
This reminds me of the adage that's been used for this argument for God forever. Is if I have a petri dish with a fetus in it and a 3-month-old baby in my hand, and I said, which one should I drop? It should be impossible for you to make a decision if you believe that fetus is a person.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing I am also upset with these pro-life people, is the fact that a lot of them say they're going to help people afterwards, but they don't. They really don't, especially the ones that hang out around Pittsburgh. They're like, oh, here's some resources. I'm like, okay, how many of these are Christian-based? How many of them are Christian-based? All of them. How many are you showing that aren't Christian-based, that are going to shove shit down this person's who's going through a lot right now, and you're trying to instill your faith in their lowest point? How about you just try to treat them like a fucking person first? You know, like you're supposed to. And then if they come to you asking for faith questions, that's when you talk to them about that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're going to go a little over our usual line for our break, but I don't want to lose my thought with these egos, and then we'll come back
to
your thing. Okay, so here's one I'm also concerned about, and we talked about this in my vet group today. We don't know how our care is going to be. They are attacking with the DEI thing. They are attacking anything that they consider DEI, even if it was made before DEI. They've taken things out of like the Air Force training, and then until like the public got heard of that, like they removed the Tuskegee Airmen and the first women Air Corps pilots out of the Air Force basic training lessons, and everyone caught wind of it. And they're like, oh, okay. 2 days later, they put it back. Yeah. That's the shit they're trying to do. And it's a shock and awe tactic to see what they can get away with. I know that's why. But we might lose access to like LGBT care things. There's groups that were planned to stop for a little bit and change hands of who controls it and get a rework, might not come back. So trans care might not come back. I might not get my HRT through the VA anymore. But here's the thing that also pisses me off. It's HRT started for care for cis people. So are you going to tell the trans men only that they can't get testosterone, or are you going to stop the cis guys who are getting testosterone because they have low T? Are they also going to not get their care? Is the women going through menopause not going to be able to get the estrogen, or is it just trans women like me? Are the cis guys who get top surgery because they have just a little bit too much fat naturally on their chest, or they have that condition that produces boob-like pectoral muscles on their chest, are they going to be able to get top surgery, or is it only the trans people who can't? This is the thing that I do not think people fucking think about.
No, absolutely not.
And it's fucking stupid. Like another one here that was just the first actual executive order that's basically, I'm removing all these executive orders that Biden did, right? And it lists them. One removal was removal executive order 13988, which removed protections for LGBTQIA plus people as federal coverage that pushed Bostock v. Clayton County further. So, quick background, Bostock, you'll probably hear me say this a lot in both podcasts. The Bostock case basically said that the Supreme Court in 2020, the Supreme Court held that Title VII protections on discrimination because of sex covers discrimination based on gender identity and sexual orientation. The thing that ERA is trying to push further and make a full constitutional amendment, the Supreme Court already said you can't discriminate because sex is in the equation. This is when Trump put people in. And they still said it's okay. And then it pushed further to Title IX, which Betsy DeVos during Trump's first administration tried fighting, even though the Supreme Court already said you can't. I was trying to do it again with the same fucking people on the chair. So I will say there is precedent for to argue that there's protections, but we've already seen what the Supreme Court do when they redo decisions based on previous Supreme Courts, which they should not do. But there's a gray area in the Constitution about that, which is fucking stupid. But this is just a slippery slope to remove all LGBT people out of care in the country, and especially our veterans and service members, because we already have an executive order that is pushing about 15 to 15,500 service members out of the military because they are trans. And we already have a recruiting and retention issue. So you're going to take basically like 2.5 platoons out of the goddamn military? Really? That's going to be great for our readiness and efficiency. Like, I don't think, and I will say on TikTok, people have argued with me about this, saying like, oh, the medication makes them non-deployable. We have sent like little, like, you know, the school trailers when like the school doesn't have enough room to have like those, so they like take like little like shipping containers and turn them into classroom things. Yeah. We have taken that kind of shit and made a McDonald's. In the fucking fight in Afghanistan during the early 2000s, there was shipping container made McDonald's. We could do that logistically. We could send people's ED medication logistically. We can't send HRT. And not only that, not every trans person needs HRT. I theoretically can stop and it'll be fine, right? People who have had bottom surgery, it gets a little harder for them, right? So, but there's also different levels of deployable. There's pharmacies on U.S. Navy ships. You can, on an aircraft carrier, you can get surgery done. On an aircraft carrier. Not all the time, but when life is threatened, you know, and they need to take care of shit, they can do surgeries.
Yeah.
They have pharmacies on the ship. You can also go to port. There's usually a base. Fucking imagine that. There's different levels of deployable, but also not every job in the military is a combat job. Not every job is going to send you to combat. The joke is, if you're a computer science, you're a trans girl, do you have any idea how many fucking IT or logistics or supply jobs there are in the military? All that are important cogs, because if you don't have your supply working right, you don't have your ammo in the field. Those are important jobs. Give them those rates. You know, if you're like worried about the medication and shit, it's stupid. It's fucking dumb. I don't think they should. But, you can bar them from, like, combat jobs. Like, if you had certain surgeries, you can't be in, like, an explosive detonator, like an EOD.
Yeah.
Because you had surgery or something. I can understand that logistic, maybe little. I would still think it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But to kick them out of the military wholeheartedly is just really stupid.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you want to add before we go on our break?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, I feel like I'm taking a lot of this episode.
That's all right. I know you have a lot to talk about.
I do. I have a lot to fucking say. The fact that I'm doing it on 2 podcasts. We'll be back after a quick word about our Big Cartel shop. Hey everybody, it's Rayven from Smoking Out the Closet. Real fast, I just wanted to talk about the fact that our podcast now officially has a merch store. So we're going through Big Cartel for print on demand, and these products will change from time to time. But right now we have an emotional support products between a crossbody bag, a t-shirt, beanie, and a patch, and we have our podcast mug available in 2 different sizes as well. So if you're interested in supporting our show or just want some really cool swag, head over to smokingoutthecloset.bigcartel.com and grab some stuff from us. Alrighty, we are back. Azzy, I know you have the rest of the show as you, because I kind of just did everything all in one go. Can we talk about your chocolates you made?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so I haven't had them yet because, as some of you may know, weed and sugar and me do not mix very well. And edibles hit me like a fucking freight train. But I want to talk about your process of what you did.
So I had these, I almost made it way too difficult. I was going to do the whole double broiler, had my ceramic bowl over top of my pot of boiling water, right? And I was like, actually looked at the back of the thing. I was like, God damn it, I can just throw these in the microwave. So I took the ceramic cauldron and I put the multi-chocolates I got from Michael's in there and threw them in the microwave. And I didn't pay attention to how long they were supposed to be in there. But, like...
You got them to melt.
I got them to melt to a good consistency. They were nice and hot. And then, at the time, I was like, God, $7 for a shot is a lot. It was like a really shitty alcohol jello shot at one of the shows I was at. And I was like, well, this actually paid off because I took the syringe and I kept it.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the syringe and I sucked up the hot liquid chocolate and I sprayed it in it. I squirted it into my molds, right? And then...
what molds did she use, Azzy?
There were video game controllers, and they said there was some that said game over, and then I took some of Raven's ones that she would make
the
gummies and
the square molds from my magic butter machine.
Yeah, and I made a pan of those, and then I did make a pan of non-medicated strawberries. They look like strawberries, but they're just chocolate. Also, the chocolate was on sale, so like, hell yeah.
Okay.
I got to use up at least 3 different things of RSO, because like one was a full gram. I had like a quarter of a gram in one and like a quarter of a gram in the other one.
And I think we have more RSO in our basement.
Yeah, so like, it's like $3 a bag.
Yeah, might as well. Right?
But the square ones, I there was some that I made double dosage because I was like, I just like.
You have a higher tolerance.
Yeah.
Like, I would take maybe the one little, like, if you're holding a game controller, those, like, little pointy parts that, like, fit in your palm of your hand.
Palm grips.
I would take a bite of that part and probably be good for a day.
Yeah, because I think I mathed and there may be, like, anywhere from, like, 25 to 35 milligrams a piece.
And I can do 5 milligrams and be okay.
And I took 4 of them before the show, so I'm at, like, 120, maybe.
Yeah, so we should have done that warning at the beginning of the episode, because you may end up just getting out of nowhere real high.
I can only hope. That's why I took 4 of them. But yeah, so when I put I gotta go back to my process here. My melted chocolate in my syringe, put them in my little molds, and then I would take the RSO and I would set it underneath the bowl. So I had the bowl on top of the grate on our stove, and we have a gas stove. So I tucked it underneath the bowl because the bowl's hot. And I kept my syringe of RSO warm. Well, then I was just like, well, why don't I just throw it in the microwave with the fucking chocolate while I'm melting it?
And that only works with the glass ones. Don't do it with the plastic ones. The plastic one you made me put underneath my boob.
Yeah, I also ran it under hot water in the sink for a little bit. But yeah, I just kept my RSO hot, and then I put it on a metal chopstick, because you kind of want to use metal when you're working with RSO, because it doesn't stick.
Mm-hmm.
And then the chocolate was hot enough that I would stir the chopstick in the chocolate, and it would melt the RSO and melt the chocolate. And then I just kind of flatten it, make sure it was flat on the back, and go on to my next one, and stir them up, and keep working. And then I put them in the freezer. Let them freeze for several hours. Pop them out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. They taste like weed. They definitely taste like RSO. They're good.
So if you ever want to make your own edibles, that's
how I did it.
It's
this episode to reference.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, RSO is really great for making quick infusions. Like, you don't need a magical butter machine to like decarb and all that. You can just
just dose it.
I really like the one thing I do like about dablicators as a device, because there's not a lot of like distillate or like actual concentrate that you could smoke through using the dablicator. Most of the stuff here in PA, the dablicator tool is filled with RSO, so you don't actually want to dab it, but it produces equal amounts, so you can make sure that each dosage is the right one. So we should do that with mine, because I do have a dablicator of RSO.
Because some of the RSO ones are definitely stronger than others. The game controller one, I definitely tried to stay more 2-dose, like make it no more than like 30 milligrams. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted to take a half and 15 would work for you, then that's cool. If you want to take a quarter of it, whatever. Or you probably can't take a whole one.
No.
Joey took a whole one, and they were doing pretty good.
What I should do is if I'm really hurting really, really bad, I'll take a whole one and just go to bed.
Honestly.
Yeah, because like edibles and me do not mix.
I love them. Incredible edibles.
I mean, I do like them. It's just the sugar increases my heart rate and everything. It makes me go through the THC way too fucking fast.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add about the chocolate? Because I think you have 2 more topics.
Yeah, I do have 2 more topics. I don't think I have anything else chocolate-wise. Just hit up your craft store for chocolate milk wafers. They melt easier and faster.
Or if you're near Amish, they sell them real cheap in real big bags.
Oh, yeah.
How were they, though?
How were they?
Yeah.
They're pretty good.
You like them?
It tastes good. Yeah, it just tastes like chocolate. Not like Hershey's chocolate. Not nearly as good as Hershey's chocolate, but they're not like crappy. I can't remember the brand, but they don't taste like crappy melting chocolate. Like, there is very cheap melting chocolate.
Oh, like the ones at Walmart?
Yeah, Walmart melting chocolate just tastes.
I wonder if you mixed in corn syrup near the end. Like, when you have it melted, mix a little corn syrup and milk, maybe it'll taste more like Hershey's.
Ooh, maybe we should try that. Because I know we have so much RSO.
And we have so much corn syrup.
Yeah.
For when I make gummies. So,
I found this article a while ago, again from Marijuana Moment. It was posted January 29th. I guess it wasn't that long ago. The Hawaii House Committee unanimously voted to protect medical marijuana patients from employment discrimination.
Fucking A, yes.
The House panel in Hawaii has advanced legislation that would protect state-registered medical marijuana patients from discrimination in the workplace. The bill, HB 325, would prevent employers from using a person's status as medical marijuana card holder against them when making hiring or firing or other employment-related decisions, with some limitations, though. It would also bar discrimination based on registered patients' positive drug test for cannabinoids or metabolites, provided that the person is not impaired on the job.
What's the exception? I'm assuming like construction workers and like semi-drivers?
It says that the measure's introductory text stating that the courts have consistently ruled in favor of employers while qualifying patients challenge drug-free workplace policies, yet have not entirely foreclosed on the possibility that state medical cannabis laws might operate to protect qualifying patients against employment discrimination. I'm trying to see here what it would not extend to law enforcement or corrections workers. State and county firefighters, emergency medical workers, lifeguards, swim instructors, people who carry firearms on the job, operate vehicles or heavy machinery, emergency management workers, basically the shit.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, but
People
like,
who work with children, the elderly, or administrate controlled substances, among other criminals.
okay, that one I don't agree with because, like, okay, here's the thing: if cops, even though I don't fucking like that cops smoke weed, because fuck cops, they've never been a friend to the LGBT community.
No, fuck them.
If a cop can get drunk and have a good time on his day off, if a daycare worker can have alcohol on their day off and not have any repercussions, I feel like they should do the same with cannabis.
Exactly.
I understand it's a little harder to tell if someone's impaired or not on the job, but like it's kind of obvious when someone's under the influence of even just alcohol. Like you don't need a breathalyzer to be like, "You're drunk, Dave. Go home."
Yeah. The bill would also shield employers from liability in the event of a worker's injury or death if, quote, impairment by medical cannabis was the sole contributing factor.
Oh, that's gonna be an issue because, like, I could see, like, when I got hurt, right, on the job, like, I was open about my cannabis consumption and saying, like, hey, I use this to help with my PTSD. And I got hurt. And if, their argument was, oh, it was because of my weed, it'd be very hard to argue that because of what exactly happened.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into details because I signed an NDA.
Yeah.
But, like, it's really hard to kind of fight that. But I can see because corporations fucking suck.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I can see them trying to squirrel their way out of, making sure someone's taken care of if they got hurt on the job for something the company did. Or didn't do in most cases.
Yeah. It just goes on to say that, the state was unanimous, 6-0 vote to pass it.
Cool.
They should be, people who are getting treated with medical cannabis should be treated like anybody else who is getting treated with any sort of legal drug.
Yeah, if like these fucking people can do their job on Vicodin, like if they have prescription painkillers like Vicodin, Oxycontin, and all this shit, like you're not supposed to operate heavy machinery, but the amount of times I've known people that have done that, and they still have their fucking job.
Mm-hmm.
Cannabis should not be any different,
Absolutely.
And no, if you're like on a job and your job is like, hey, you shouldn't really do that. Well, we're going to give you like a desk job or something, or you're going to sit here and do like quality control or something where you're not operating machinery. I can get that, right? I can get behind that. Like change something to make sure people are safe.
Absolutely.
That's fucking fine. But you should not just kick someone. If you don't kick people out for being on Oxy that they have a prescription for, you should not do the same thing for cannabis.
I agree, 100%.
You just remind me of that bit from the Storks. Like, I agree.
I agree. Yes, I agree. Yes, I agree.
This tiny thing is now a wolf. I love that movie.
I hope I watched it.
We watched it at Mom and Dad's.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, because it's the one at the end where the storks start delivering babies again.
It's stork. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
storks.
Yes. I'm still kind of. I think my edibles might have kicked in / start kicking in. Okay, so I have another article from Marijuana Moment that I found recently. It was from yesterday. It was published yesterday. Today, as of recording, is February the 4th. This was published February the 3rd. And this irritated me. Then I read longer. It was one of those ones that's like, oh, the headline, shit. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, read longer. You're going to get more mad. Here we go. Major marijuana company donated $250,000 to Trump's inauguration as an industry works to earn president's favor to advance reform.
Now, here's also a big thing that also pisses me off is I know the company. You told me who the company was, and it makes a lot of sense why. And they're just using it as a guide to push for favor and making sure we get, recreational across the board. And I'm like, no, you just want to line your pockets, you assholes. This is why we don't let you on our podcast to review any of your fucking products.
So, if you people listening thought it was Curaleaf, you would be correct. And that shouldn't, I know it's like, oh, of course it would be. It's not a surprise, but it's still upsetting.
Yeah, because
it's one of those situations.
Because, Trump has ties to Russia. Elon Musk has ties to Russia. Curaleaf has ties to Russia, even though they shouldn't be doing and operating shit with their ties to Russia. They have fucking ties to Russia's oligarchy. And guess what? They're trying to make one here in the fucking United States.
Via the U.S. Cannabis Council, the USCC, they contributed $250,000 to the president following his election victory last November. Quote, I was proud to stand alongside cannabis industry leaders at President Trump's inauguration, unquote, David Culver, Senior Vice President of Public Affairs at USCC, told Marijuana Moment. We face a wide range of challenges, including addressing debanking and finishing descheduling, that our leaders in Washington can address, he said. President Trump has embraced federal cannabis reform and voiced it. No, I can't even finish. No. What are you talking about? I can't even finish reading your quote. What the fuck? No.
Yeah, he's embraced it. Doesn't look at the thing we talked about earlier where he's saying no to it.
Yeah, like, the hell. The notice first reported the USCC contribution to Trump's inaugural committee. It's not currently publicly known to what extent additional cannabis businesses may have donated to the inaugural committee. Such contributions must be disclosed within 90 days of inauguration.
Mm-hmm. Per corporate laws.
Oh. You said, what other company did you say? I'm surprised it's also not.
Fucking Trulieve.
Meanwhile, another top marijuana executive, Trulieve CEO Kim Rivers, has also been making inroads with Trump circles.
Of course, she's always been a fucking MAGA asshole, and I called it from fucking day one. Fuck you, Kim Rivers!
Only did she meet with the then candidate last year prior to his endorsement of a Florida cannabis legalization ballot initiative that Rivers is... That's not how you do that possessive. Her last name ends in an... Who is this? Marijuana Moment, if you were listening... This
went through your editor.
This went through your editor. My note to your editor: the Rivers should just have an apostrophe at the end because my first name ends with an S, and if your name ends with an S, you just add the apostrophe at the end for a possessive. You don't add an apostrophe S. Just want to put that out there. Anyway, the Rivers company is largely funded, but she also attended 2 pre-inauguration events: a dinner celebrating Vice President J.D. Vance and separate candlelight dinner. Then it has one of her tweets. Kim Rivers, at Rivers_Kim on Twitter, because I refuse to call it fucking X. Night 2, at the candlelight dinner, beautiful venue with at real Donald Trump, giving remarks on the eye of inauguration. There are pictures. She took pictures of him from her seat in the audience. You can see the menu. She took pictures of the menu.
If you are in cannabis and you are supporting someone who goes after people of color and the LGBT community, you are not a member of the cannabis community. You do not deserve to be part of our community, and this is why we don't take your bleach blonde, bad bod, fucking spray tan ass from Florida. I am stealing that Jamie Crockett bit on Major Taylor Greene. You are not ever going to be on this podcast to have any reviews, and you are never going to be actually part of the cannabis industry because we know you're just for corporate fucking greed. What?
Cresco Labs CEO Charles Batchel was also in D.C. for the inauguration of President Trump.
Oh, not reviewing Cresco anymore. Fuck you.
Damn it. What in the fuck? Yeah, because this was from U.S. Cannabis Council on Twitter. Members of U.S. Cannabis Council and at Canna Roundtable, including our chairman at Cresco Lab CEO Charles Batchel, are in D.C. for inauguration of President Trump. And we're excited to get to work for cannabis reform with the new president and Congress. And there's this picture of them together. Oh, minus Trump, but it's all the CEOs are all standing together.
Why? And this is the one thing I hate about Act 64 that we passed here in PA that allowed all of them to pretty much, we only have 2 state-only operators left now. And it's fucking bullshit because all the cannabis MSOs fucking suck. Verano broke the Department of Health regulations and stuff, was breaking fucking HIPAA regulations. Fucking Strain or Liberty was breaking labor laws here in Pennsylvania. Fucking Rhythm was doing insider trading. Like, it's all fucking hate corporations.
Disgusting. I'm saving this for later because I know I'm going to talk about this at work now, and people are going to be like, well, do your article? I'll be like, oh, bet. I have my sources here. Also, just listen to do you not listen to my podcast?
I have receipts, motherfucker.
I have receipts.
Like, what folder to put this in? Like, when I left my job, my first job in the cannabis industry, a lot of them were saying, yeah, our company sucks, but it's the devil I know. And I worked at another cannabis industry for a week because of all the shit they were breaking, and I already was left another job because of all the shit they were breaking. That's why I don't work in this cannabis industry anymore, because they all fuck over the people who work there. They're paying growers who have to have certain degrees or understanding $16 a fucking hour, but if they go to the food science industry, they can be making like $25-$30 an hour.
And guess what? Sometimes whenever you try to go in for safety problems for the grows, they fall underneath the agricultural regulations, not OSHA's. Like, there are different sections of OSHA, right? And they fall under the agricultural regulations, which are going to be different than like common workplace regulations. And like, shit falls through the cracks. And we all know that there was, hopefully we all know, because I've told this to people at work and they didn't know about there being a death at a cannabis.
Oh, at the Trulieve facility in the Midwest?
Exactly.
Because it didn't provide proper ventilation or PPE?
Yep, and that is not the only dispensary it's happening at. But these cannabis companies just...
Corporations try to weasel their way out of fucking every responsibility. The first company I worked for, I'm not going to say the name still, but they were laying off people because we didn't go recreational in certain states as fast as they wanted. But when they have training, they can fly people out there and take them to fancy fucking restaurants and pay for their hotels and everything. One of my coworkers went to the training and everything for like a management training, and he said they went to a 5-star restaurant. Like, the fucking meals were $30 a head. Why the fuck are you sending there people when you can't even properly pay people? And I still haven't gotten my exit survey from them.
No.
Because they know I'm going to call them out on their shit.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm half in mind just to say their fucking name now. Because what are they going to do? Fire me? I don't work for them. Fuck you, Verano. Fuck you, Verano Holdings. And then fuck you, Liberty, for fucking breaking labor laws. Fuck you both. What are you going to do? Sue me? Fuck off. Try me, motherfucker. You don't have enough money for lawyers. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I'm not going to currently say who I'm working for.
No, because you still work there. There's repercussions.
But you and I, we worked for the same cannabis company for a while.
Yeah, we both worked for Verano.
Both worked for Verano.
Fuck them.
Fuck Verano.
Fuck Verano. Fuck Cresco. Fuck all these MSOs. Now, I am saying, yes, a lot of companies weasel it. Like, there are tiers. That's why we're still going to review Verano stuff. We're still going to review maybe Liberty stuff when I'm getting over being butthurt about them breaking labor laws and they're being investigated still currently. But we're not going to support Cresco. We're not going to support Cureleaf. We're not going to support Trulieve. And if any fucking buddy tries to say, oh, we're trying to push it, this man is pushing against hate towards everybody who uses cannabis historically. Fuck off with that. Mad. Anything else you want to add? Because I think we're at our mark.
No. That's what I got. It's been a month.
This has been the longest fucking January in history.
Yeah.
I swear to God. Or at least in my history.
I heard a random stranger say that the other day at the store. I don't remember where we were.
We were at Michael's and they're like, oh, hey, they're putting out St. Patrick's Day stuff. And I'm like, well, it is February. I know, it feels like it's been forever. It's the longest January ever. And I'm like, I feel you. I feel y'all. Also, going back to your mass shooter things with fucking cannabis, if ketamine is worse than cannabis, why do we have someone working for the government who is always constantly high on ketamine and does Nazi salutes at the inauguration? You can't have one and excuse the other.
You can't, no.
All right. I've been on a tirade all day. I would like to sit down, calm down, smoke some more weed, and play some Pokemon. That sounds like a good rest of my day.
Plan. Or maybe we could all play some Minecraft, too.
Well, yeah, that sounds great.
Do something calming.
Do something calming.
Cozy.
Well, once again, my name is Rayven. I use she, her pronouns.
I'm Asmodeus. I use they, them pronouns.
And this has been another episode of Smoking Out the Closet. Bye.
Bye-bye.